I guess, this idea of using social technology to bring people together, build an asset over time, sounds really exciting. It sounds sort of complicated. And I don't know, maybe Mike, maybe you can speak to, where do you start? I mean, do you start with a targeted banner buy? Is that the right way to start? Or how do you begin?
Yeah, I think one of the big challenges that we run into quite often when we're dealing with a big brand and a big opportunity is who owns what, especially on the agency side. So you think about, I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago where the question was, it sounds like and feels like it should be owned by PR. I think the other side of it is too that it's more difficult to buy from a media perspective because it isn't plastering banners all over a site or doing a site takeover. So I think the big challenge is that this is looked at, the web's looked at in many cases and in most cases as an advertising platform, when in fact, I think what's available in the social space more so than ever before is a marketing platform, which involves a bunch of different people. I think that it's the most important or the most challenging thing right now is figuring out who owns what and putting a program together that's truly marketing as opposed to just advertising related. But it can be as simple as a banner or a like banner buy. That'll work, but if you go all the way to the other side about managing relationships and connections, it takes more of a resource.
Yeah, Gail, you sort of alluded to trying to find our way with roles and responsibilities. Do you have any advice for how to figure out who owns what when putting a program like some of the ones you showed together?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating question. Like one of the words I use a lot is curate, right? Do I need to hire marketers or do I need to hire curators for brands? Do I need my agency to hire, creatives, or do I need them to hire editors and content producers? And I think all the roles are kind of evolving.
They're new and they're old roles. I think back to a lot of creating a gravitation around a brand or a content is about having a set of advocates who can speak on your behalf. And if I think back to when we were doing Internet Explorer, Windows 95, when I worked on Windows 95, we had a set of beta testers that were the best advocates for Windows 95. Hands down better than any of our marketers. And it turned out it was the person who was just responsible for getting swag to the beta testers that was the best manager of that community and moved on to manage other communities and now manages communities on social networks.
Never underestimate the t-shirt people.
That's right. And so I think you have to start with who are the people that are the advocates or who you think can make advocates, and then germinate them.
Oftentimes we hear people in social media, maybe Mike, you can speak to this, say that you can't be intrusive. You can't sort of be in people's faces. Is that true?
Well, I think that one of the big challenges is that because it's so new and because it is a two-way dialogue and you are going to get feedback, I think that a lot of brands are fearful of the feedback that they'll get back. It's really, more than anything else, it's on the responsibility of the brand to represent themselves in a meaningful and transparent way. So I think it's much more about a brand representing themselves as the consumers expect them to. And if they meet those expectations in a relevant way while delivering value, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be commercial in this space and to go out and make relationships in that way. But you got to do it in a way that can be respected and trusted and believed.
As a media guy who lives in a world of zero-sum budgets where in order to put something on the plan, something has to come off the plan, how do we value social marketing programs? How do you value an asset that's going to produce an audience over time? I don't know, Brian, do you have any thoughts on the right way to value relative to other marketing investments?
I think you do it the same way you do any other marketing investment. If your goal is transactions, did it drive the transactions? And if your goal is brand or perception, did you start moving the needle with brand or perception? You often have to look at a subsegment of the audience because it's not going to be every user or the worldwide brand perception. But great marketers can segment and can target those segments, and regardless of which tool you can use, you can measure that.
One of the huge advantages that a social media campaign can deliver, if done right, is this ownable asset at the end of a period. Like Adidas has 2 million followers or people who are fans of their brands. They'll own that forever. But how do you as a media owner or a buyer or an agency build that into the dashboard of success that you ultimately are going to measure that campaign against? So I think it's really this new thing that needs to happen that we all as an industry standardize and agree upon, where we measure this differently because of the extra value that comes from a social campaign.
Well, good. Well, thank you. I mean, it sounds like an exciting era of creativity is upon us. Great new tools, new ways to interact with audiences, and it'll be wonderful to see what the submissions for Con next year and years to come look like.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.